Hi everybody, welcome along to Story to Camera, and today there's only one story, and that of course is COVID-19, coronavirus, the pandemic. What are we doing? Well, we're all working from home on Story to Camera. My son is behind the camera right now directing, and I'm here at the house, and that's what everybody's trying to do at the moment. They're trying to stay and work from home. Our producer, Mark Lima, is also at home. Today on this programme, we'll be going directly into other people's homes. Local businessmen, local business leaders, from moms to rock stars. It's Story to Camera. Well, our first guest on Story to Camera is Conor McGreevy, and Conor is a local businessman from Warrenpoint. He's the Chief Executive Officer of CTS and also the owner of Mourne Mountain Brewery. As well as that, he's the chairman of Warrenpoint Town Football Club. Conor, hi and welcome to Story to Camera, and thanks for joining us today. Locally, you're operating multiple businesses. Please give us your story on how COVID-19 has impacted on them and their workforces.
COVID-19, it's having a devastating impact across the world. It's impacting every family and every workplace across society, and my first thoughts, of course, with your question now, is with the people who have passed away and their families who must be suffering immensely. In terms of my own businesses, it's had an impact, no doubt about it. We have had to furlough a significant number of staff, the bar obviously was one of the first to go. It's closed, and the staff there are impacted, and we're trying to support them as best we can through the government schemes and other measures, which I can't name for personal reasons. The brewery, of course, we tried our best. We went online, and it's now had to stop too. Difficult times to furlough the key members of staff there too. And then, of course, CTS being our frontline service provider, we still have staff out there who are trying to comply with legal requirements of gas servicing, hot water and heat, which is essential whenever we're being told to wash our hands so much. You need to have the hot water, and we service a lot of vulnerable people, so we've significantly scaled back, probably operating around 30% of where we were. Very, very sad times, and my primary concern over the last few weeks has been to try and make the right decisions to make sure that those people can all return to work full-time again as soon as possible. So it's been a devastating impact on the businesses, and of course, as well you know, I'm involved with the local Premiership Football Club, and all those people have all sort of lost their careers there too, in terms of the leagues have all been cancelled, and again we're looking at the furlough scheme for those players, and we'll have to try and maintain our Premiership Football Club too. So yeah, all the things I'm involved in have all been impacted, and I feel sorry for every one of them.
Thank you, Conor. Now, if you're coming to terms with perhaps having to stay at home, there are others who have already done so for a while, and one of them is Mom Sarah Barr, and we take up the story with Sarah. Welcome to Story to Camera, Sarah, and what's it been like for you and your family staying at home, and how are you all coping?
Hi Kevin, thanks. Yes, myself and my children are coping relatively well, given the circumstances and the immense pressure that everybody's feeling at the moment. The schools have been very supportive. Some of the individual schools have sent home packs for each child, and the online resources for both the students and the parents have just been invaluable.
Sarah, thanks for that. Now, have you experienced any cabin fever, and what do you do to cope?
Yes, well, we are now, as a family, on our third week of isolation. Due to earlier circumstances, we had to lock down a little bit earlier. But that actually, we're fortunate in that way, because we were able to plan ahead. We were able to book our online shopping and, book deliveries before everything got so jam-packed, and, everything was available at that time. We were also able to plan ahead, and for less academic and more hands-on activities, so gardening and painting and anything like that we needed, we ordered well ahead of time and added a wee bit of structure to everything. But yes, the first few days I felt a wee bit of cabin fever myself. Not, because it all happened so suddenly, not being able to say, speak to family members and friends and, spend that little bit of time with them before you knew, it could be another few weeks, another few months. We don't know yet, obviously, how long it's going to be. But I struggled with that. And I think the structure, especially now with the schools, the online classes that the children are doing, and all the extra things that people are doing on social media, the PE, we were able to structure out our day, for the full week, just like a school week, but with less pressure and a little bit more fun time. Once we've it structured out, it takes a little bit of the pressure off and gives you a bit more motivation.
Now, we all need our essentials like groceries and toiletries, Sarah. Have you and your family been able to manage?
Yes, again, we are fortunate. We're outside of the city, but we have a convenience store here. There's a few local shops as well that do deliveries and contact-free deliveries. You can phone down, make your order over the phone, pay over the phone, and they will let you know when your delivery will arrive. And all as they will do, knock your door and leave it on the doorstep. So it's just a matter of keeping that on, keep that going.
Finally, Sarah, most people are having to manage their finances very carefully at this time. Do you think the government have done enough to support families during this crisis?
Well, what I have to say is, I could talk about this all day. As you well know, the government here, every government, there's a lot of families and individuals that will always fall through the net when it comes to support, especially financially, for people. Some people don't fit in the boxes, and this is the unique time we are in at the minute. And the government is working at a severely reduced capacity, their staff, as are all the agencies. What I have to say is that obviously everybody's trying their best, but there are people that have actually been in contact with me, and whether they're self-employed, whether it's the first time having to apply for benefits, they are struggling at the moment. So it's a yes and no answer. I do believe that they're doing their best, but I think there's so much information out there that people don't know. A lot of people aren't computer savvy to be able to pick up on how to fill in the forms online, how to apply for things, and then it's a waiting game to see when they get the first payment. Our government need to start looking after these newly vulnerable people who are living off very little and need the additional support there. The information needs to be readily available. But as I say, it's a uniquely trying time for everyone, and credit where credit's due, but there's people suffering still.
Thank you, Sarah. Now, if you can make a difference to a family friend or a neighbour, for goodness sake, try and do so, but take the right advice. Remember that, take the right advice. Coming up on the programme on Story to Camera, we're going to talk to, a rock star who's now a school teacher living in Hilltown. We're also going to go out and about with a mum, a businesswoman who's trying to make a difference for her neighbours. We take a look at that later in the programme. But right now, we're going to have a chat with the Chamber of Commerce, the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Commerce, Colm Shannon. Hi, Colm. Welcome to Story to Camera. And as you can see, we've lots of things happening at the moment with the COVID-19 and coronavirus. I want to throw a few questions past you. Let's talk about the support packages that have been put in place by the government. Employees of businesses affected can receive 80% of wages through the job retention scheme, and the self-employed 80% of net profits via a taxable grant. And businesses, the business interruption loan scheme seems to be the thing for them. Give us some more advice on that, Colm, please.
Yes, Kevin, our businesses are in very challenging times. 2020 is the year when the Chamber is celebrating 200 years in business. When we started this year, we never felt it was going to be quite like this. Our business are facing many challenges, and it's not just small, it's right across the board from small to large businesses. The Chamber's been working very, very closely with all our businesses. We've been providing daily updates on the latest advice and information from government, and we've been also dealing with specific queries from individual businesses. In addition to that, we've been lobbying on our members' behalf and on the business behalf of right across Newry. I've had a number of conversations with government ministers, working very closely with the council, and as well as that, other stakeholders in the area.
Colm, the Chancellor has underwritten hundreds of millions for business loans. The focus is now on the banks. Has the Chamber been in contact with the banks? And how do they intend to support local businesses? And is the support really ready now?
Yes, there's lots of advice, lots of help out there now, both from the UK government at a national level and locally here from the Northern Ireland Executive. I suppose the largest scheme is the job retention scheme, and that's the scheme that affects, will have most businesses. Basically, there's an 80% grant available to allow you to retain your staff. It is known the Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme, and it's aimed at schemes that are adversely affected by the current downturn in business. So the aim of it is to avoid you making your staff redundant, and it helps you towards the wage costs of your employees. You will get an 80% grant if your business is adversely affected. HMRC have published detailed advice on their website, and I would encourage businesses to think carefully and look closely at this advice. There's also the self-employed support that was announced last week by the Chancellor. Again, it's an 80% grant up to £2,500, and it covers self-employed with trading profits up to about £50,000. Again, I would encourage you to look closely at the scheme. It's specifically for self-employed people. You have to have had you have to have had accounts for the last number of years. Filed your accounts for last year, although they've given a 4-week extension for those that haven't filed their accounts yet. There's also the business interruption loan scheme, which has been operated by a number of our banks. In addition to that, there's the VAT support. You can defer the next quarter VAT payments to the end of the year. The Executive here in Northern Ireland has given businesses a rates holiday for the first quarter. That's April, May and June. So there's lots of support out there.
Colm, as more and more businesses are impacted and there's debate around who are essential businesses staying open, unfortunately, Colm, it's all a little maybe too late for some of these businesses. There's been losses of jobs, particularly in the hospitality industry. What do you say to them?
Yes, our banks have been working closely with the businesses to help them through. Essentially, for a lot of businesses, what the challenge at the moment is cash flow. As they say, cash is king at the moment, and a lot of businesses don't have the cash flow to sustain them over the next number of months, and that's why the government have introduced a range of initiatives, including the job retention scheme to help them pay wages. They've also introduced a new temporary coronavirus business interruption loan scheme, which is delivered by the business bank, and it aims to support primarily small and medium-sized businesses. Most of our banks are signed up to this, and again, the advice would be to speak to your local bank, speak to the advisor that you work with on a regular basis to see whether this is for you.
Thank you, Colm, for your time. Now, everybody out there has had to change their routines. We're only allowed out for essential shopping and so on. It's been difficult for all of us. One such woman is Cara McShane, a local business lady in Newry, and Cara has been out and about, and we've been following her daily routine. Here's how it looks.
Hiya Kevin, it's Cara here, out and about in Newry in the front line, I suppose. This is what part of some of us have to do during the day. I'm at my father's house now. Hey Dad, with the dog, delivering his groceries. I'm safely off 2 metres away. So that's probably one of the tasks I have to do today. Say hi. Say hi, Daddy.
Hi, Kevin.
Well, it's about 2 o'clock on Tuesday. I've just pulled up to Tesco's car park to go in and do shopping for my family. This morning already I've been up and into work from about 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Left there and went and visited my kids, my husband and my mum, who are all living in my house. I'm living in my mum's house. They're all vulnerable, so they're all living together, and I'm out and about and running the family business and just trying to keep everything ticking over. So I've got their grocery list, which I Snapchatted or was took a picture of their list that they've given me that I have now with me. Then I went to my dad's house where I left off medicines for my sister. Now I'm going to do Tesco's and we'll talk to you later. So I've just done Tesco's. Get rid of the car. There's groceries for 4 houses. Now what I'm going to do is I've got my gloves, got my wipes. I'm going to wipe down every item of food, put it in a laundry basket, bring it inside, wipe any bacteria off it, and do that in 4 houses. And I think a lot of people are doing that. I've met a lot of people who are walking about with lists for neighbours and grannies and grandas and whatever, and that's a smart thing to do. Keep safe. Hey Kevin, it's Wednesday, it's about 4 o'clock. I've been in work for the last 6 hours, taking deliveries and just getting our stock up to date. This is where we work, the family business, Greenbank Wine Lodge. I'll take you for a little tour. So entrance is this way. You go around to the shop. We've all our price lists up. Get your social distancing, more price lists. Come into the shop. There's our hatch system. Just give me a moment. It's all our prices, and the staff will bring your drink to you through this hatch. So someone will come. Yep. And we're also doing home deliveries. Take care. So it's Wednesday night, nearly 10 o'clock. I've been doing little video shots of me running about the last couple of days. Yes, I'm busy, I'm kept busy. But this is the time of the day where it gets hard, you know, where I'm here alone. My kids, I haven't touched them in a week. Yeah, I miss them, I miss the hugs. But I know they're safe, and that's the important thing. It's not easy for anybody. I talk to people day in, day out, and everybody's got issues, everybody's got problems. I consider myself one of the very, very lucky ones. I have a job. I have the capacity to keep the family business going, and not just for me, but for my father, my mother, my sister, my extended family, and gives me something to do day in, day out. I don't know, like I get videos sent from my friends showing me the bakery creations of the day or the art creations of the day, and you know, and I miss having that time with my kids. But on I suppose the other side of the coin is then, what's the alternative, you know? I don't know what the alternative is. It's scary times. It's when you come home at night and you put on the TV and you've seen over 500 people in the UK have died today, and you're thinking, when's it going to end? And I've told my husband, I said, there's no way I'm going back into that house. They're too vulnerable. There's too many underlying health conditions there. Until pretty much they've got a vaccine, the second wave, maybe third wave, and fourth wave, and I don't know what the future holds. I kind of said earlier on yesterday that I'm on the front line. I don't consider myself front line. I feel safe. I've done everything I can to keep myself safe, my family safe, my staff safe. I suppose the heroes of the hour, the heroes of the time that we're in now are the NHS workers, and I'm very fortunate I could swap houses with somebody, so I don't have to worry about coming home and giving it to somebody else. And I'm sure there's so many scared people out there that are on the front line who have nowhere else to go, come home every night, have to sit far away from their kids and try to stop their kids from hugging them and wash and petrified that they might be carrying the virus. And it's good to see that local businesses are opening up, hotels are giving out rooms for NHS and workers, etc., you know. So that's a good thing. But the heroes they are definitely NHS, and we fear for them and thank them so much. I suppose all we can do is just do all we can do, and each of us go day by day and just try to keep positive and keep our mental health going and look after each other and just hope for the best and hope that we'll come out the other side, which I'm sure we will. But, keep safe, everybody. Talk soon.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you very much. Great to see you, and for goodness sake, be safe out there. Everybody needs to try and help. We can do it from home, but for goodness sake, take advice and be safe, be sensible. Let's turn our attention now to Hilltown, and let's go and talk to Tim Brown. Tim is one of the senior teachers down at St Louis Grammar School. He's a former rock star. He was playing in a rock band and selling #1 singles and albums and playing at huge concerts. But first of all, we're going to join Tim and ask him about being a teacher. Hi Tim, how are you? You're a senior teacher in a local grammar school. Tell us, now that school's officially over for the foreseeable future, what advice can you give parents and school children?
This is certainly a difficult time for families, never mind the stress of the virus and so on. And I think some families might find it difficult with the online work that teachers are providing. We have to be careful and mindful of families who maybe have only one computer between 4 children and so on.
Now Tim, you've had an interesting story to tell us, and I suppose all our listeners, all our viewers right now are waiting to find out about this rock band. Not everybody can claim to be a member of a famous rock band, but in your case in the 90s, the band, the Boo Radleys, you were a bass player with them. Must have been an amazing time for you, and of course you played all the big concerts like Glastonbury on more than one occasion. Tell us about that.
Well, we were intent on being in a band from when we were like 13. Played my first gig when I was 15. It was always something I wanted to do. Always wanted to make music. I suppose I wanted to emulate my heroes, people like New Order, who would be like my favourite band. And so it was the question of how you get there. And I think what is interesting is that, we were all driven. The 3 of us who went to school together were very driven to actually succeed. That was what we wanted to do, and we just did all the hard work necessary to do that. We started off, driving around in transit vans, doing things in London where we would basically have lost money to do it. And we just kept going until, the success grew. We had made 2 albums before the big success came with the 3rd album, which was Giant Steps. Of course, that had our first chart hit, which was Lazarus, which somehow scraped into the top 40. But again, on the back of that, then we played some amazing gigs, and that includes playing Glastonbury twice, Reading twice, and to describe what that felt like, very difficult. I would be honest, there would be a lot of terror at the thought of getting on stage in front of all those people. Once you're on the stage, certainly that Glastonbury after the big hit Wake Up Boo was incredible to see tens of thousands of people go mad in the sun on an afternoon gig, never to be repeated. An amazing time.
Now, Tim, don't get alarmed, but we got some old footage of the band back in the day. Let's have a look.
Wake up, it's a beauty. Wake up, what could be the very last time?
Tim, great memories, good songs, but what was your favourite song and why?
I suppose my favourite song would be Lazarus. That would be our, as I said, first hit there. And Wake Up as well would be a favourite because the kind of joy that it brought to people, the enjoyment that people got from listening to that song. But really my favourite, the song I enjoy the most listening to now, would be a song that was released just on a single back at the time when we recorded Everything's Alright Forever, and that was a song called The Finest Kiss, which I think is just a classic of the time, of the era. Certainly just a great song.
Now, the transformation of being a pop star to teaching, how did that come about?
I left school at 18, having not done so well in my A-levels. We were still intent on doing well in the band, but I actually went and worked for the Land Registry for 3 years, which is like a government agency. And during that time, as I say, it was flexible working hours, which was great, and we would be doing gigs and stuff over the weekend and taking time off. So that then was the start of it all, and from the age of 20 up to 29, it was just one long roller coaster of recording, releasing, touring, and so on. And once that came to an end, it was in 1999, which was really a decision of Martin, the guitarist, who was the main songwriter. I looked around and thought, well, what can I do next? So the first thing I did was actually set up a studio in Liverpool with a friend of mine. We rented some studio space, and we did some recording for ourselves, and then we were recording other people as well. And shortly after that, to pay the rent on that place, I was actually working for the Ordnance Survey for a year or so, doing some casual work on computers for them. It was really after that I thought, well, what am I going to do? So I looked around, and actually it was my sister who had gone into teaching IT. IT was a much demanded subject at that time, and it was a 2-year shortened degree, so I just thought, well, why not? I'll go for it. My wife being a teacher at the time also had something to do with that. So I did a 2-year B.Ed in IT and went from that to teaching in England for a year, and then moved over to Northern Ireland.
Tim, I'm just listening to you there, but I know you enjoy teaching, and you did teach some of my children, which I'm proud to say, but you've been back in the studio writing and recording recently. I hear you're back with your old band members. What are you up to?
Yeah, after a period of 20 odd years of not playing in a band, got back together with the singer of the band, Sice, and we were talking about doing some recording just for a bit of fun more than anything. And from that, then we decided to put an album together. So we've done some recording for that album. We've got about 16 songs so far. And basically we're working our way through making sure they're all mixed and sounding good. The next step after that will really be just to get that album released, and then to do all the work associated with that, such as the odd gig and obviously the odd bit of press and so on.
Great, Tim, absolutely great. Now, you've done that, you've got the t-shirt for it. What advice can you give to young people who are looking at this right now? They're starting out in the music business. In this distancing time, is it a good time to be creative?
So my advice for young people starting out in the music business now is, first of all, take advantage of all the technology that's available to you. As I said, they were recording a new album, and all the work is being done online. Once we got the recording done, conversations are taking place online. I would be sharing mixes that I've done with other members of the band. So, you can work online. Obviously, it's not a good substitute for being there in person, but you can get things done. You can certainly be thinking, planning, create songs and so on at this point. In terms of getting into the music business, well, it's a lot about what you know. So it's a lot about who you know, not what you know. So you really need to get yourselves out there. You do need to play gigs. You need to build up a bit of a fan base locally. And of course, with the advent of social media, you've really got great opportunities to build up interest in the band, share early work online, and so on. You can really try and build that up without going anywhere near a record company. But don't forget publishing. If you're writing songs, send your songs off to publishing companies. They're the people who'll give you money and collect money for you in terms of your songwriting ability. So publishing is an avenue that you should always be interested in anyway, particularly if you're writing songs that that do have a chance of being performed by other people, for example.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much for sharing that. That was Tim Brown, former rock star, school teacher. What a story. And that's what Story to Camera is all about. On this programme, it was all about mums, business people and rock stars. It could be you next. For goodness sake, do what they ask you to do. Let's fight this virus together. Let's stay at home. Let's do our social distancing. Be safe, take care from everybody on Story to Camera. Bye.